it doesn't seem like it's been that long, except when you think about it as a quarter of a century. I mean, then it does seem long, and there's been so much change in this field in 25 years that, you know, you would realize it because you actually grew up with it, you know, even before you came into the business, but there's been major change in this field. Well, it started when I was actually in college, and I was living on carbohydrates and gained 30 pounds in just a few months and never felt worse in my life. And both my parents were obese and diabetic. So I looked at my grandmother, who lived to be 103 and who was very healthy, and then I looked at my parents, who were living on junk food, and I'm saying, something's wrong with this picture. But what really got me started is when I worked in the inner city schools, and we saw children eating no breakfast, and when they did eat, it was candy and fast food. And unfortunately today, kids all over the country are eating the way kids ate in the inner city, which is again why they're having so many physical, mental, and emotional problems. But the real catalyst was when my own daughter, Carolyn, who is our food consultant, was extremely hyperkinetic, had a lot of digestive problems, and she always got really hyper when she had the digestive problems. And so I took her from doctor to doctor thinking it must be allergy, because we did have a family history of that, and finding out that they kept saying there's nothing wrong, just put her on medication, which I refused to do. Finally, we realized she had a major reaction to corn products and to salicylic acids, which is a common cause of hyperkinetic and ADD behavior. And within 2 weeks of removing those, there was a dramatic change after it took 5 years to try to figure out what was going on. And at the same time, I was working with troubled teenagers as a family counselor and a school counselor. And when we did some simple dietary changes, not major, just simple, we saw dramatic results. So I said, oh no, I just got that master's degree. Do I really need to go back to school again and get another degree? And the answer was yes, I needed to get that degree to get the credibility. Even though it wouldn't have changed too much of what I was doing, it would give me the credibility. It was extremely difficult because, first of all, everyone in our family had different intolerances. You had the peanut and the wheat thing and the grass thing, and some of the milk issue. My husband had your dad had the major dairy lactose issue and some of the corn issue. Carolyn with the salicylates corn. Mike, of course, was the lucky one, the youngest one, because we were keeping away from most of that stuff in the house when he was very young. But with him, the difficult thing was, even though I never said a word, when you go to a birthday party, because he never exhibited major symptoms, eat whatever you want, you know, just at home, this is the way we eat. But just because of what we were doing at home, he didn't want to eat that way elsewhere. And that poor child got railed on by parents. One mother, a psychiatrist, when he didn't want to eat the cake at a birthday party, and I never told him he couldn't eat the cake. He just didn't want to eat it because it was sickeningly sweet, and he wasn't used to that taste. The mother said, "You're wishing my son bad luck if you don't eat the cake." I had a little talk with her afterward, and she never did that again. But for him it was very difficult because they called him King Vitamin. And so when you were in a situation where people didn't really believe nutrition was the answer to health problems, it's just, you have this wrong, you take a pill, and prevention was just nothing 25 years ago. I had to prove that nutrition even made a difference in any way, shape, or form. So it was difficult because I had to make everything from scratch, number one, and then difficult when you had constant, what's the word for it, antagonistic attitude from other parents in the community. And I'm sure you saw that in school too. If you brought something healthy, people would laugh, and you never ate school lunch because it was so bad. In fact, I remember all of you thought that you were being punished if one day you had to eat school lunch because maybe I didn't have time to make it, and I was torturing you to make you eat school lunch.
But back then, I mean, you had to make most of the food from scratch because, for instance, gluten intolerant. I mean, there weren't those kind of foods available, whereas now you can buy them, packaged.
I know. It's so much easier now. And I think one of the reasons people are willing to go that extra mile to do what they need to do, I've seen a big improvement even with my own clients, because when we give them the how-to and they know they can go to their regular grocery store and find almost all of those items, or go to stores even like Trader Joe's and Costco where the prices are very reasonable and they're able to find what they need. Because again, when we were doing this, if I didn't make it from scratch and bought something, it was extremely expensive. The average person can't really afford that. Today, a person can afford to eat healthy because a lot of these foods are in discounted stores.